All right, Organic Food Matters crew, let's dive into decaf the way nature intended. Did you know that 80% of Americans think decaf means no buzz and no flavor? That number blew my mind when I first heard it. Most folks assume the coffee they drink before bed was stripped with some scary lab chemical and tastes like burnt cardboard, but that story is old and wrong. Today we are talking about the water process. It is how you pull caffeine out of coffee using nothing but good old water and carbon filters. No funky solvents, no chemistry set drama, just water doing what water does best. And yes, it actually tastes like coffee. Wild concept. So buckle up. I am about to spill 5 secrets about water processed decaf that most coffee drinkers in the United States get totally backwards. And I promise I have made every mistake in the book with this stuff. I once brewed a pot at 5 a.m. thinking it was regular and wondered why my brain felt like it was running on dial-up. Spoiler. It was decaf. Still tasted fire, though. Let's get into it. Secret number 1. People think decaf means zero caffeine. Nope. That is the biggest myth floating around American kitchen counters. Even water processed decaf has a tiny bit of caffeine left. We are talking like 2 to 5 milligrams per 8-ounce cup. Compare that to a regular cup that hits you with 95 milligrams, and you can see why your grandma still gets chatty after her evening decaf. The FDA says coffee can be labeled decaf if 97% of the caffeine is gone. Water process usually hits about 99.9%. So yeah, it is basically gone, but not zero. If you are super sensitive or pregnant, you still want to check with your doc. But for most of us, that trace amount is nothing. It is like finding 1 sprinkle in an empty ice cream bowl. You are not getting a sugar rush from that. Secret number 2, folks assume water process is new or some hippie trend. Wrong again. This method has been around since the 1930s in Switzerland. That is why you sometimes hear it called the Swiss water process. It showed up way before the United States went nuts for organic everything. The idea was simple. Caffeine dissolves in water. So if you soak green coffee beans in water, you can pull the caffeine out. The trick is doing it without yanking all the flavor too. That took some brain power. The Swiss figured out how to make caffeine-free green coffee extract. You soak the beans in that extract. The caffeine moves from the beans into the water, because science loves balance. But the flavor compounds stay put because the water is already saturated with them. It is like trying to dissolve sugar in a soda that is already maxed out. No room at the end. After that, you run the water through carbon filters that grab only caffeine molecules. The rest goes back to the beans. Rinse and repeat. No chemicals with names you cannot pronounce. Just water and carbon. That is it. Your grandpa would approve. Secret number 3. People swear decaf tastes weak or flat. I used to be one of them. I would grab a bag of decaf at the grocery store and it tasted like someone microwaved a brown crayon. Turns out the problem was not the decaf part. It was cheap beans and bad roasting. Water process keeps way more of the original flavor because it does not nuke the bean with solvents. Think about it like this. Solvents are like that one friend who helps you move but steals your snacks. They get the job done, but they take stuff they should not. Water is more like your mom helping you pack. She is careful. She keeps your stuff intact. So when you start with specialty grade beans from Colombia or Ethiopia and use the water process, you end up with a cup that has real notes. Blueberry, chocolate, toasted almond. I've had water processed decaf that straight up slapped harder than gas station regular. The United States coffee scene is finally catching on. Third wave shops from Portland to Brooklyn are putting water processed decaf on pour over bars. Baristas are geeking out because it lets them serve night owls without the jitters. Secret number 4. People think all decaf is chemically stripped. That is because the most common method in the United States for decades used methylene chloride or ethyl acetate. Those are solvents. Methylene chloride is also used in paint stripper. That fact alone freaked people out. Now, to be fair, the FDA says the trace amounts left are safe, and ethyl acetate is literally found in fruit, so some brands call it naturally decaffeinated. But if you are shopping organic or you just do not vibe with that, water process is the move. It is certified organic because nothing synthetic touches the bean. The carbon filters are usually made from charcoal. The water is filtered and reused. It is a closed-loop system. Way less waste, way less sketch. So when you see Swiss water process on the bag, that is a trademarked method, and they only use water and carbon. No funny business. Other companies do similar water methods, but Swiss water is the big name you will see in American stores. Secret number 5. Folks assume decaf is only for old people or pregnant women. Listen, I get it. Decaf had a reputation. It was the sad option at diners next to the apple pie. But times have changed. Athletes drink it so they can train and still sleep. Coders drink it so they can pull late nights without their heart doing the cha-cha. Parents drink it because a toddler is enough energy for the whole house. I drink it at 8 p.m. because I love the ritual of coffee, but I also love sleeping like a baby. The United States runs on hustle culture, but we are also waking up to rest culture. Decaf lets you have both. You get the taste and the cozy mug moment without the 2 a.m. ceiling stare. And water process makes it actually enjoyable. This is not your dad's Sanka. Now let me give you a relatable analogy because my brain works in food comparisons. Think of caffeine as salt in a pasta water. If you dump your pasta into plain water, it pulls the salt out of the noodles into the water until everything balances out. That is osmosis. The Swiss water process does the same trick. They make a super flavorful green coffee broth with no caffeine. Then they dunk caffeine-heavy beans into it. The caffeine jumps ship into the broth because the broth has no caffeine yet. But the flavor stays in the bean because the broth is already stuffed with flavor. Then they take that broth and run it through a carbon filter that only grabs caffeine. It is like a bouncer at a club who only kicks out guys named caffeine. Flavor compounds walk right past. Then the clean broth goes back to rehydrate the beans. The beans plump back up with their own flavor, but without the buzz. Genius. Here is my personal stake. I was a 3-cup-a-day person. Morning cup to wake up, afternoon cup to not fall asleep at my desk, evening cup because I liked the taste while watching TV. My sleep was trash. I was wired but tired. Classic American grind. I switched to water processed decaf for my afternoon and evening cups. Nothing else changed. 2 weeks later, I was sleeping 6 hours straight instead of 4. My workouts got better because I was actually recovered. And I did not miss the caffeine because the flavor was still there. I brewed it for my buddy who is a coffee snob in Seattle. He took a sip and said, "Shut up, this is decaf." He went out and bought 5 pounds the next day. That is when I knew this was not placebo. So why does this matter for organic food? Matters because we care about what goes into our bodies and how it is made. The United States has the biggest organic market in the world. We read labels. We want transparency. Water processed decaf is as clean as it gets. No solvents, no weird residue, just water and carbon. It keeps the antioxidants and chlorogenic acids that make coffee good for you. Studies from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition show decaf drinkers still get heart benefits and liver support. You do not use the good stuff just because you lose the buzz. But here is the kicker. Most grocery stores still put water processed bags on the bottom shelf. They market it to the decaf only crowd. They do not tell you that you could be drinking this at 9 p.m. and still sleep like a rock. They do not tell you it can taste like a blueberry muffin in a mug. The coffee industry has been sleeping on this, pun totally intended. And the price thing. Yeah, water process costs a little more, maybe $2 more per bag. That is because it is slower and uses more resources than the chemical route. But think about what you pay for peace of mind. Americans drop $7 on a latte without blinking. So spending an extra 50 cents a cup to skip solvents and sleep better seems like a no-brainer to me. So how do you find it? Look for Swiss water process on the label. That is the most common certification in the United States. If it just says water process, make sure the company explains their method. Good roasters will brag about it. Check the roast date too. Decaf goes stale faster because it has been through more processing. Buy whole bean, grind it fresh, treat it like regular coffee. French press, pour over, cold brew. It all works. I even make espresso with it, and the crema is legit. I want you to try something. Next time you are at your local coffee shop, ask if their decaf is water process. Watch the barista's face light up if it is. They love talking about this stuff. If they say, I do not know, then you know they are probably using the cheap stuff. Take your money to a shop that cares. Here's another myth buster. Decaf is not weaker in flavor strength. You can brew it strong, you can brew it light. The caffeine has nothing to do with boldness. That is all roast level and brew ratio. I brew my water processed decaf at a 1:15 ratio. That means 15 grams of water for every 1 gram of coffee. It comes out rich and full. My neighbor thought I was pulling his leg when I told him it was decaf after his second cup. Let's talk health for a second. Americans are stressed. We are over-caffeinated. The CDC says 85% of us have caffeine every day. Average is about 200 milligrams. That is 2 cups of coffee. But we also have a sleep crisis. 1 in 3 adults does not get enough sleep. Coincidence? Maybe not. Swapping 1 cup for water-processed decaf cuts your intake by half without you feeling deprived. Your adrenal glands will thank you. Your anxiety might chill out too. I am not a doctor, but I know my own body. Less caffeine meant less afternoon crash and less 3 a.m. brain. And for the organic fam, water process is the only decaf method that can be certified organic in the United States without jumping through hoops. The USDA is strict about solvents. If you see what USDA organic on a decaf bag and it does not say Swiss water or water process, read the fine print. Some use carbon dioxide or ethyl acetate from natural sources. Those can be organic too, but water process is the gold standard. No loopholes. I used to think decaf was punishment. Now I think of it as a power move. You are choosing flavor and sleep. You are choosing to not be a slave to the buzz. That is savage in the best way. So here is my challenge to you. Try a bag of water, process decaf for a week. Replace your last cup of the day with it. See if you sleep better. See if your coffee still tastes like coffee. I bet you will be shook. And that brings me to the big question. If water-processed decaf tastes this good and keeps the chemicals out, why are most American coffee brands still using solvents? And why are we not demanding better? Drop your thoughts below. Are you team buzz or team balance? Is decaf finally cool, or is it still the sad corner of the coffee menu? Let's start a debate.